Hey, Quinn here, and welcome to Niche Niche. I wanted to talk about two fragrances today, and I wanted to do a short review on one. And they're from the 2015 special edition releases from the Armani Prive house. One is Sable Or, and the other is Perfume. So stick around and find out what I think. House of Armani created two Prive fragrances, and these are limited edition fragrances, and one is called Sable Or and the other one is called Perfume. These two fragrances were released this year as a limited edition. They did a really short run of them, and they were available in small quantities. As the name suggests, Perfume is more of a incense driven fragrance with focus on the incense. I didn't find it to be too smoky, honestly, when I tried it. I found it to be a little bit more like a citrusy incense. Not a huge fan of it, to be honest with you. But I did really enjoy the Sable Or, and I believe the Or is for orris, or iris root. The notes in this are definitely heavy on the iris. I was fortunate enough to get to try these fragrances at the local Neiman Marcus in Dallas at North Park Mall. And I want to say thank you, Sean, and thank you, Brandon. Both of you guys are great at keeping me informed on the new things that are going on in the department, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for telling me about these fragrances and giving me a sample to try them out. So the notes of Sable Or are iris, sandalwood, vanilla, cacao, tonka bean, benzoin, and I believe that's it. And leather is not listed, but I'm going to say that there's a soft leather in this as well. Now, in the opening of this fragrance, you get a strong iris, and it's almost along the lines of a Dior Homme Intense. It smells very rich, it smells very makeup-y and thick and round. And I know leather is not listed in the notes, but I do get a leather in here, and it could just be a culmination of the heart notes that kind of wrap around each other with this creaminess that give it a round leathery scent. And it could come from the cacao and the tonka and the benzoin, all three together, giving off that kind of leathery accord. The opening of this really does remind me a lot of a Dior Homme fragrance, and that's great. That's a nice fragrance. I really enjoy that fragrance. However, at this price point, I was really hoping to get something shebang, you know? So after a little while, the iris burns off and you get this more earthiness coming through it, and that leather and that creaminess and that roundness comes out. It does retain that rooty, kind of earthy, makeup-y iris scent that you find in the Dior Homme fragrances. After a while, it dries down and it does kind of become more creamy and less irisy, and more of like a leathery, creamy sandalwood with a touch of floral in the background, and the cacao really starts to come out. So it really starts to go off into this cocoa, woody, almost chocolatey, cocoa kind of vibe with a little earthiness to it. It's very nice. I wouldn't say that it's extremely complex. It's not a shapeshifter by any means at all. It's very subtle transition between the heart to the mid and through to the base notes. In the base, what you're going to get with this fragrance is a dry, woody, sandalwoody, cacao, almost chocolatey kind of vibe. And it gets powdery, so if you're not a fan of powdery fragrances, you probably will not like the dry down of this. As far as longevity, now I tried this fragrance and I sprayed it on the back of my hand. I put 2 sprays and I wore this throughout the day. And I also put a spray right here in the middle. And it lasted pretty much all day on me today. Today was a hot day here in Texas. It was about 92 degrees outside. And, you know, I spent some time indoors, a little bit outdoors. You know, I got a little bit heated up, and it never did get cloying or choke me out or seem like it was overpowering. It really had this kind of gentleness to it. I wouldn't say billowy, but it's a gentle, soft kind of scent. I would say all in all, this fragrance probably lasted on my skin a good 8 to 10 hours. It wasn't a skin scent. It was plenty strong. I could smell it without getting my nose way up close. I think this fragrance is completely unisex. I think it could be worn by a man or a woman. I don't see any problem with anyone feeling uncomfortable. I think it really toes that line perfectly. Overall, I was pleased with this fragrance. As with any fragrance, there's pros and there's cons. I would say the pros to this fragrance is that it's exclusive. Not a lot of people are going to have this. Another pro to this fragrance is the scent itself. It's a pleasant scent. It really is. I enjoyed it. It lasted a long time. I think it could be worn by a man or a woman equally. I think it's not offensive, and it's powerful and elegant without being overpowerful. I wouldn't say it's a bold scent. The con of this fragrance is the price. Folks, this is $650 plus tax for 100 ml. After tax, that breaks down to about $7 per ml. That's pretty expensive, especially for most of us. If you're anything like me, I collect lots of different fragrances. I prefer to have smaller volumes over large volumes in the first place, but this one's only available in the 100 ml, and it is only available for a short period of time, and it's only available in a select few places, and it's extremely expensive. So those would be the real kicker on this fragrance. I don't see myself buying a full bottle of this for many reasons. Another con to this fragrance is it's not that unique. I've smelled accords from this fragrance in many other fragrances. It reminds me a lot of Dior Homme and Dior Homme Intense. It's a little more amped up on the cacao though. If I were to say that this fragrance smelled like any other fragrances, to me, what I envision this fragrance being is a Dior Homme mixed with Coir d'Ange from the Hermescence line. It's got that woody, slightly floral leather, that round leather, and then it's got that iris and earthy cacao and sandalwood. It's creamy at the same time. That is the best description I can give this fragrance. I think you should try to check it out if you could. I know it's not easy to get your hands on, but if you're a fan of those fragrances, I think you're really going to enjoy this fragrance. Lasts a long time, smells great, super pricey, but hey, luxury is not cheap. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so glad that you watched my video. I appreciate you stopping by. Please like below, comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.